Hello, my creepies. Miss Elena Housewife here with another spine-chillingly delicious episode of Creature Comforts. Movies and reviews and snacks that bite back. Couldn't even remember my own tagline. Since we're officially in spooky season, it's October, I figured I would do a modern Halloween classic, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. If you're not familiar with the movie, but you remember checking out those books in elementary school, I want to dive into each of the individual stories that kind of pop up in this movie and how they've been reimagined, so to speak. And since it is also October, we are going to do a budget-friendly pumpkin cake cookie. Literally takes 2 ingredients. Well, 3 if you're like me. I tried to do this as budget friendly as possible. So I made a trip to my local Dollar Tree and did a quick video looking at the spooky stuff and grabbing the ingredients that we needed. So check that out here. Hello, my creepies. It is Miss Helena Housewife here. I am going to try and do a little behind the scenes video. I am going shopping for things for my next spooky movie box thing I want to send out. And I'm also going to do the shopping for the next Creature Comforts video I'm going to do. And yeah. Okay, so filming's probably going to be choppy, but I think I'm going to be able to edit all together so that it looks good. But I've psyched myself out trying to film in Dollar Tree, and I didn't film at all in Spirit. But I found some goodies. Got a few bags of things from the Dollar Tree. Some candy and just little things to throw in our bag. The bags for, well, the packages for Halloween. Ignore all the mess. Spirit. I found some vintage masks, including this one I'm going to use for my Monsters Crash the Pajama Party stuff. Also got this pumpkin because it reminded me of Over the Garden Wall, and I have a picture for that in my house, and I thought that the mask would be really cool with that. Oh gosh, all the trash in my car is disgusting. Please don't judge me. And this stuff, always loved these as a kid, so I'm sending them in packages as well, the little witches fingers. So you guys get those. And then I got, I got this to put on my car, but I'm kind of afraid too that somebody's going to take it because it really is just so cool. And then I also did like the little donation thing and got one of these bracelets because it's super cool. But so I think the only thing I didn't manage to get was the I needed canned pumpkin. I found the cake mix and I found some chocolate sprinkles at the Dollar Tree. So I'm actually having to go to Walmart and sit and stare at the hair color aisle for a minute. So I will grab some canned pumpkin while I'm over there. And yeah. And if you haven't guessed, we're doing the pumpkin cake cookies, which means that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is our next Creature Comforts, which has been I've watched it. I've had everything written out for it for months and months and months and months. So we are finally going to film it. So, yay. Okay. Okay, welcome back. So here I've got our cake mix. I've got the dark chocolate sprinkles that I got there. I have my pie filling that I got at Walmart since my Dollar Tree didn't have this. And if you want to save time, you can either get spiced cake mix or you can get the pumpkin pie filling that already has some of the spices in. I did not grab those. I already had some pumpkin pie spice on hand at home, so I'm going to use this instead. And I also have my bowl to mix it all up in. I've got a sheet lined with aluminum foil, which probably isn't ideal, but I didn't have parchment paper and I forgot to buy some like cooking spray to spray my sheet with, because I always have to forget something. I don't think with the past 2 videos I've done, I have not forgot one thing. So, I guess we will start here. So, you want to make sure that your oven is preheated to 350. And we're going to just open our cake mix. Oh my gosh, my hands are weak. I'm one of those people that, like, when the weather starts getting cold, I turn into an old lady. I think I might have arthritis, but my joints and my hands hurt and don't ever want to work right. So, it makes simple tasks like opening a bag of cake mix very hard. Ooh. Okay. Set that to the side. So, this recipe calls for 15 ounces of pumpkin. Walmart only had these big cans, so this is 29 ounces. I'm just going to guesstimate like half of this and probably keep the rest to do like some pumpkin French toast, which is one of like a casserole. If you've not ever done that, it's so good and it's so easy. You just kind of do it like any other French toast casserole. Just substituting some, well, it's not even a substitution, just adding in some pumpkin. And it kind of gives you, honestly, a similar flavor to these cookies. So I have made these once before, and they turned out really good. They were a hit at the cookout I took them to, because I'm the weirdo that brought pumpkin cookies to like a 4th of July cookout. And there were none left. Whenever I did those, I actually had chocolate chips. Which I unfortunately did not find at the Dollar Tree. So I went with these dark chocolate sprinkles. And I feel like these are kind of going to fit the vibe that I'm going with. Holy crap. I did not realize I was going to pour out like that. But, you know, with seasoning stuff, you just do whatever the good Lord tells you to do. You don't ever measure, like, spices. But, chocolate and pumpkin, like those flavors together, are my favorites. I feel like they like pair really well. And that, you know, if you've already got like the spice cake mix or the pumpkin pie filling, that's the only 2 ingredients you need for this. You don't have to add any eggs or anything like that. Your pumpkin kind of, I guess, acts as a binder and keeps it all together. But anyways, back to the sprinkles. One of my favorite passages from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and it did pop up in the movie, was the girl that thinks that she has like a zit, and she goes to pop it, and it's not really a zit, it's baby spiders. That always frightened me as a child. I don't know the likelihood of that actually happening, but it freaked me out, and I feel like throwing some chocolate sprinkles in here is going to be reminiscent of the spiders. My first idea that I was wanting to do, but kind of got priced out of it a little bit, was to do cupcakes and do the top with like fondant, or fondant, and make it like a zit and have pus and the sprinkles coming out to mimic the, you know, the movie a little bit. But I had a hard time finding something cost effective to do that with, and also you're going to need to like do gel coloring and things like that, and I try not to buy things that I'm not going to use more than once, and I don't do a whole lot of special projects like that. So this is what we got, and I should have just got my hand mixer, because I think I do this every time and it just, ugh, takes forever. It's really good. So I'm going to throw the sprinkles in here. And I was actually surprised by how much I liked these. They really do taste chocolatey. I was a little bit worried getting something from the Dollar Tree, but I kind of taste tested it to give it a start, you know. And this kind of looks cool too, because it's orange and black, so you're going to have like your Halloween colors. Man, I keep finding like dry cake mix. Okay, I think that's finally got it. So, you can either do what I'm going to do, which is just I'm going to spoon out little bits to put on the baking sheet. If you've got like a melon baller or an ice cream scoop, that'll help you measure it out and get it kind of pretty and round. Because this is really, you can see the consistency there. It's a little bit, it's pretty solid, but it's still a little liquidy. So these are probably going to come out really weird shaped. But I just want to do a glob. Yeah. My unit of measurement is a glob. I'm probably going to fit like 6 or 8 on here. And then I'll just do another sheet later on. That might be a little too thick. I don't know. We will find out. So as big as I'm doing these, we are going to fit 6 on this sheet. So you'll probably get, dang it. Okay, so don't judge me. If you're actually measuring it and doing like a ice cream scoop or the melon baller, you might be able to fit more. But I would suspect you're probably going to get about like, with what I'm doing, 12 cookies. And you could eat this because there's no eggs in it. So that's a win for that too. I'm going to pop these in the oven, and we're going to come back and talk about scary stories to tell in the dark. You're going to want to cook those for 18 to 20 minutes. Probably more closer to 18 if you're doing like thinner, smaller ones. I'm going to try mine at 20 since they are so thick, just to make sure it's going to bake all the way through. So I guess let's dive into our movie now. As always, don't judge me. I'm going to look at my notes. It's actually, I've had this, ooh, pumpkin. Had this planned out for a little bit, and I've had my stuff written down. It's been a minute since I watched this movie. So probably am definitely going to have to refer back to those notes a few times. But let's go. Let's just dive in. So the premise of this movie is there's this old mansion in the town that this Sarah Bellows lived in. She was lonely, so she spent her time writing scary stories. And she dies. And once we get to like the 60s, this takes place in 1968, they stumble upon her house and unleash some horrible evils, and then they have to save the day and save their friends. So, Guillermo del Toro helped with the story. I guess the over, the movie. This is actually based on a children's book series by Alvin Schwartz. So, most of you probably remember the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series. If you were like me, any chance that you were able to either get that or the classic monster movie books. I don't remember what those were, but they're incredibly rare now and worth a whole lot of money. Those would be constantly gone. So you tried your hardest to be the one to get those books. But basically he collected all of these like folk tales and stories and compiled them into these books with horrifying illustrations that still haunt me to this day. So they actually, I feel like they did a good job with this movie incorporating different spins on those tales. But I guess we'll start at the beginning. So it's Halloween 1968. You have Stella, Augie, Chuck that pull a prank on their bully, which is Tommy Milner. And they chase them into a drive-in movie. And this kind of drifter guy, Raul Morales, hides them out. So we're kind of already ticking off a whole bunch of boxes that make me happy. You have, misfit, outsider type children, your Halloween setting, and it's in this like old kind of nostalgic period of time that still you had like war and stuff going on, but it still is a lot of time that people look back at, as still being the good old days. So anyways, Ramon keeps them safe, and they decide to invite him to go explore a local haunted house that belonged to the Bellows family. And they help find Mill Valley, where these people live. So inside, once they get in there, they find this book of horror stories that Sarah Bellows wrote. And you kind of find out that she had been accused of witchcraft, and that they held her responsible for some of the town's children dying mysteriously, and so she allegedly committed suicide. So we also got a haunted house, so let's check off one of those other boxes of mine. So our bully, Tommy, follows them to the house and locks them inside with Ruth, who is Chuck's sister. They escape, and Stella takes Sarah's book, because you're in a haunted house. haunted house, and this girl allegedly killed a bunch of people. So yeah, why not take her scary storybook? They escape. She has the book. She flips through the book and discovers a new story called Harold that just kind of appears on this blank page. So, while that's going on in a nearby cornfield, Tommy is inebriated and getting stalked by the titular Harold, who is his family scarecrow. And it comes to life. Dun dun dun. So Tommy ends up getting stabbed with a pitchfork and is reported missing. And Stella and Ramon end up finding Harold dressed in Tommy's clothes. And Stella, being the smart cookie that she is convinced that Tommy got turned into a scarecrow. And I feel like this was one of the weaker adaptations of the stories, you know, in the original book. But they probably couldn't have went as hard as the original story. If I'm remembering it right, which it's been actually a while since I've read these books as well, some farmhands made a man out of straw, and they talk to him, but then they also mistreat him when they get frustrated. They take out, you know, their pain and misery on this straw man. And eventually the straw man gains sentience at the end of the story and skins one of them and dries his skin out on the roof. And probably if that happened to Tommy, this movie wouldn't have gotten a PG-13 rating. So later on, a new story, The Big Toe, appears with Augie as the main character. Everyone probably knows this story. So they go and try to warn Augie about the monster, which is a corpse missing its big toe. And this big toe ends up in a stew that Augie eats, and he disappears after the corpse drags him under a bed. And I feel like this one actually did stay with the original story pretty well. There really wasn't a way to change that one up too much. I feel like the creature effects are fantastic, and you have Javier Botet. I don't know how you say his last name, but he is wonderful. You're probably not, I mean, if you're a horror fan, you're going to recognize his name, but he's been in movies like Crimson Peak, Slender Man, Insidious, The Last Key, Mama, the It remake, Conjuring 2, and he just has this stature and way of moving that makes him absolutely creepy and perfect for doing those monster roles. So yes, fantastic actor. So they realize that they are next, and the remaining friends attempt to destroy the book, which proves impossible. They end up researching Sarah's life in order to try to find, you know, a resolution to their problem. A new story called The Red Spot appears. Ruth discovers a swollen spider bite on her cheek. Dun, dun, dun. And it explodes and releases hundreds of tiny spiders, and she's rescued but traumatized. So this is another one of those that you couldn't really screw up. If you hadn't read this story in one of the books, there's a good chance you've heard it as an urban legend, word of mouth. Somebody always has a friend of a cousin twice removed that had this crazy thing happen to them.
It's also been done in other movies, like Urban Legends Bloody Mary had a horrifying spider scene. Um, don't get that one confused with the fun 90s slasher, but I think they tried to, with the Urban Legends series, make a trilogy, but this one, if you've ever seen Urban Legends Bloody Mary, it's kind of its own thing, and it's really far out and outlandish and not based in like slasher territory necessarily. Um, Definitely worth checking out if you want an R-rated, movie. So the group ends up going to a hospital to kind of investigate. They find that Sarah's brother performed electroshock therapy on her as part of a cover-up operation. The family's mill had been poisoning the townspeople with mercury, leading to the death of those children, not Sarah being a witch. And Sarah knew the truth and was tortured when she tried to tell everybody what the truth was. And yeah, they threw her under the bus. So while they're at the hospital, Chuck is attacked by the Pale Lady, who is a phantom from reoccurring nightmares that he has, and she absorbs him. And I mean that like just absorbs him. It's really, really cool scene. And I feel like this was a really clever take on the story. In the books, an artist is visited by the Pale Lady in a dream, and it is told, "This is an evil place. Flee while you can." So she wakes up immediately and takes steps to not go to the next place planned on. She goes to another town completely, but slowly comes to the realization that it is the place in the dream, and she's visited again by the Pale Lady. This kind of happens to Chuck. He's so fixated on avoiding the red room from his dream that he actually ends up in a red room, consumed by the monster. I also found her design to be the most accurate to the book. And I think she was like the creepiest of all the creatures. So Stella and Ramon end up getting arrested for trespassing by Police Chief Turner, who reveals that Ramon is a Vietnam War draft dodger. Dun dun dun. How un-American can you be, right? So he tells Stella that it was out of fear after his brother enlisted and his body was returned home to them in pieces. So, and that's one of the things that I kind of like that this movie touched on, is that you have these monster fears, but also the environment of the time. The war, fear of the war, and fear of, how that infiltrated the culture of the time, I feel like it added to the realness of it, to have these kind of irrational fears with this real thing as the backdrop. And the war doesn't play any kind of a part in this story at all. But just as far as fleshing out the characters and things, their points of view, the time frame of this story, I feel like, plays a good part in that. I'm trying to think how to say this. That not playing a big part, I feel like kind of fell flat, because I feel like there was trying to be this commentary about racism and war. And honestly, if they didn't bring it up, it's not going to impact the story at all. But I guess if you're going to try to do that route with the commentary, that you either go whole hog and do it, or you don't tiptoe around it. And I feel like this tiptoed, which did lend credibility to the story. But if they had went full on to doing that commentary, would have helped a lot more. So while they're in the police station, the police chief's dog starts to act funny. And Ramon realizes that the next creature is going to be the Jangly Man. A monster from a campfire story that frightened him as a child. The Jangly Man kills Turner by breaking his neck before attempting to kill Ramon. Ramon and Stella escape, and he lures the creature away with Turner's car while Stella goes to the Bellows house to put an end to Sarah's actions. The Jangly Man chases Ramon and ends up getting smashed against the grill of another car. Ramon gets out and runs to the Bellows house, where he hides from the Jangly Man under the floor. So, the Jangly Man is kind of the original, I guess, monster for this story, although it takes its inspiration from a couple different places. So, this reminded me of a couple different stories, them being Meet I Dodie Walker and What Do You Come For? In Meet I Dodie Walker, a head falls down the chimney and scares the dog to death. In What Do You Come For? A bunch of body parts fall down the chimney and then put themselves together. The Jangly Man is acted out by Troy James, who is a contortionist, so all of that creepy movement is him. If you want to see more of him, he was Baba Yaga in the 2019 Hellboy. Another Guillermo del Toro flick. I lost my place. Oh my god, I'm so bad. Okay. So, while all that is going on, Stella's taken back in time and hides under a table with the help of a young girl, Lulu Baptiste, but is eventually found. Living out part of Sarah's experience and the torture her family put her through, Stella confronts Sarah's ghost and promises her that she will tell the real story of Sarah's life and the truth of her innocence if she stops harming people with her stories. Ooh, cookies are done. I'm going to grab those out of the oven real quick and let them start cooling, and then we'll continue on with this. Okay, so you're going to let those cookies cool for about 5 minutes before you move them from the pan to either a wire rack to cool them on or a plate. It probably honestly doesn't matter. But anyways, Stella tells Sarah that she's going to tell the truth about her story, and please don't hurt anybody else. Stella writes down the true story in blood before she, the Jangly Man, and all the monsters vanish. She writes the truth about Sarah's life, and it appears in the papers to the town, keeping her promise, and Sarah moves on to the afterlife peacefully. Ramon ends up accepting his enlistment, shares an emotional goodbye with Stella before he leaves for the war. Stella drives away with her father and a recovered Ruth, who states that she will find a way to rescue Chuck and Augie. It got me with the vibes for the haunted house where a ghost wants revenge for her murder, and this seemed like she got hers and then some. And this is the point that I feel like the movie fell apart. I hated the end. I hated it so much. I feel like they were being a little too tidy, so they had to leave some unresolved loose ends to maybe do a sequel. But I don't know who's asking for a sequel. I'm not. I feel like this is a one and done. I don't know that I want to revisit these characters. It everything happens so fast, and I feel like it's hard to resonate with the characters. And when their fears come to life, and you know, it's cool to see those drawings, you know, from the book come to life, but they meet their demise so quickly, and it's so unemotional. Like I didn't have any attachment to anyone, and so when they were gone, it was like, okay, you know, kind of how you feel like with slasher movies, when you know people are just there for a body count, and so they have nothing more than, you know, whatever trope, you know. And I think too, I mean, her losing her friends didn't hit me any harder than the bully dying. And I feel like if your reaction to the bad guy dying is the same as the good guys dying, is probably the result of some shoddy writing. It could just be me, but I didn't have anybody that I liked that was like a favorite that I wanted to root for. I wouldn't even mind if the runtime was longer, if it gave you more time to flesh out these characters. I mean, overall, it's not a bad movie. It's a good intro to horror for like preteens, people that are scared easy, you know, that still are able to look at the things going on with an open mind that's not clouded by having seen way more crazier movies, you know, that are more effective with making you root for the characters and being sad when they die, and you know, that have crazier kills or, you know, whatever. And I feel like it does hit that nostalgia point for adults like myself that, you know, have those memories of the stories. That seeing that brought to life was really fun. I just wish that the story was more thought out, that the characters were more fleshed out, and that that there was more of a resolution to it at the end. I don't know. Has it been 5 minutes yet? Let's go get those cookies. So, here are our cookies, except they look a little bit more like scones to me. Oh, they're so hot. But they are very, you know, cakey. These ones, like I said, I probably did them too thick, but you see them. But they look really cool with the sprinkles on top, well mixed in. And I guess let's taste test. I love pumpkin so much. These turned out really good. I am very, very pleased with this. Two thumbs. Okay, there you have it. I plated these on a really
cool plate that I found at Walmart when I went to go get the pumpkin. These were over kind of where the dishes were. They had these in some really cool like purple and bluey black swirl dishes, but the orange and black and white on these I feel like was really Halloweeny. So 50 cents for a plate. The bowls were 50 cents. They had cups and stuff that were 50 cents. They are dishwasher safe. They, for like talk rack, they're labeled as microwave safe. So I was really, really happy with these. So thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have fun making these cheap cookies. I have less than $5 in all of this. I think they'd be super good with like cream cheese frosting on top. Yeah. Really, really good. You should take them to your next Halloween party. If there's a scary movie that you want me to review and talk about and delve into, leave it in the comments on my Patreon for this video, and I will happily do it and find something cool and easy to make along with it. Fall Halloween packages are going to be going out either tomorrow or the following day, so you guys will get that before Halloween. I'm really excited about the movie that I picked, and I hope you guys like it too. It's one of my favorites, and I was very happy to find that at the Dollar Tree of all places. So yeah, happy Halloween, and I will see you next time.